Hello, I'm Rich Tabor with the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Chenango County, New York, working with the Cornell Small Farms Grassland Utilization team. And today we're going to be taking a look at raising poultry on pasture. Today we will be visiting the multi-species farm of Paul and Maureen Knapp, located in Cortland County in central New York State. They have a dairy herd and a number of different pastured poultry species that we're going to look at. There are a number of advantages to raising pastured poultry in that there's very high consumer demand for it. People are looking for higher quality, locally grown food, and it doesn't take a lot of money to get involved with raising birds. As you'll see here on the Knapp farm, they don't have a lot of money tied up in their fencing and facilities, and it can be a nice supplement to other farm enterprises such as the Knapps do. And of course there's a ready supply of material for your compost heaps and build up soil fertility, and it's a relatively easy enterprise to enter without a tremendous amount of training and expertise, and it also can be seasonal in nature. You know, laying hens would be more of a year-round type operation, but a lot of your other meat birds typically would be seasonal in nature. It needs to be mentioned at this point that although poultry do receive some nutrients from pasture, they only have a single stomach. They're not like ruminants like cows or sheep, and they can't synthesize a lot of their nutrients. So they need to receive most of their nutrients from commercially prepared grains. Nonetheless, these birds will be in very high consumer demand because of their healthy living conditions and their tender, juicy taste. There'll just be a lot of consumer appeal with these birds. The Knapp's poultry enterprise includes red hybrid laying hens, rock Cornish meat chickens, red ranger meat chickens, and white turkeys. Their laying hens command a premium for their eggs, and they typically keep them for 1, maybe 2 years. When we were at the farm on this day, their eggs were bringing a premium price of $4 a dozen. And when the hens are done laying, they can be sold for meat purposes as well. The Knapp's turkey enterprise has come on strong in the last few years. However, turkeys are a lot more sensitive to weather, and they're very expensive to purchase as young chicks, or poults as they are known. And they do take a lot of attention to be successful with them. As we mentioned, the Knapps have two different types of meat birds, the Cornish rocks and the red rangers. The Cornish rocks are the typical industrial model chicken. They do mature in a shorter time period than the red rangers, and they are the typical meat bird found in the American supermarkets. The other type of meat bird which the Knapps raise is the more recently on the scene here in the United States are these red rangers. They take a little bit longer to grow than the Cornish rocks, but they've developed a tremendous following throughout the United States and different parts of the world for their just their wonderful flavor and their hardiness and their all-around thriftiness. We will now look at some different fencing and housing and watering considerations for the birds. They do need to be contained, and here on the Knapp farm they're contained by using this rotationally moved electro fence netting, which is also a good predator guard. This fencing is fairly easy to set up and take down, and seems to be the most commonly used fencing to rotationally graze poultry nowadays. A variety of charger options abound in order to power the electro net. It can be a plug-in type of charger, it can be a battery-operated charger, it can be a solar charger, but they do need electricity brought into the fence, not only to repel the birds, but to repel predators. Like any other type of battery charger, this system needs to be properly grounded. Clean, fresh water is a critically needed nutrient for the birds, particularly during the hot days of summer. These birds can suffer quite a bit if they don't have enough water. So water distributed to all of the birds' paddocks is very critical. Seeing that many of these birds are raised seasonally, the housing does not have to be very expensive nor elaborate. As you can see here, the Knapps have been very creative in using old and recycled materials to house these turkeys and their chickens, particularly because they don't have to overwinter them. Here, the Knapps laying flock is housed in an old recycled forage wagon, which is a tremendous way to recycle an old piece of farm machinery and put it to good use. And it's very inexpensive housing. Once you've raised these birds, now you have to find a way to process them and market them to consumers. In New York State, you can process up to 1,000 birds per year per family member on each farm. And then you can market them in a variety of ways through either have the customers come to the farm or through farmers markets or community supported agricultures. So in conclusion, some of the pros of raising pastured poultry is that it takes a low capital investment. You can start small and grow. It can be run by one or a couple people. Your children can be involved, and it can very nicely supplement and complement other farm enterprises. Some of the cons to consider in raising pastured poultry is that these birds are very susceptible to predators out there: foxes, coyotes, skunks, possums, raccoons, bobcats, hawks, owls. There's quite a few predators. And at certain times of the year, they are quite vulnerable to cold, wet, windy weather, particularly turkeys. And they have to be taken care of every day, and they do take a good bit of labor at certain times, especially during processing time. And then you have to locate a processing facility. And most of these enterprises are only seasonal. So we are now at the end of this film, and we hope the information will be of use to any of you considering taking up a pastured poultry enterprise.